Okay, we're live, and it says it's streaming and it's in excellent condition, and it is Sunday, June 13th. I have the wrong screen, so let me switch to this and give you guys a few minutes, seconds to kind of come in and just say quick hi hellos before we begin on today's Sunday live painting. Hi guys, good afternoon. How's everyone doing? Just gonna look at the chat to see if... Oh, hey Leah, hey Deb. All right, people are trickling in. Okay, so quick recap about what's been happening for this week. This week, if you guys were watching the channel, 2 videos went out Thursdays, which the regular days, Thursdays and Saturdays. And Thursday it was eucalyptus leaves. And if anyone has, for those of you who've done the challenge, the style was very, very similar to some of the things that we did in the challenge, the Hello Clarice G challenge. And those of you who are interested in doing the challenge, you can still sign up and be a part of that. I believe that's in the description in pretty much all the videos. You can find it on my Instagram, Hello Clarice G, Facebook as well. Feel free to join the group and be a part of that happy family. And for those of you who don't want to, that's okay. You can just check out Thursday's video, which was a lot of fun. And let me know, guys, how you ended up using the outcome of Thursday's video. I personally thought it would make a great wall hanging just because of the nice like gold in there, gold leafing, pun intended. Hi Cindy, all is well. Yes, it's just been really, really busy. Hope you're well and doing well. Well, I'll message you on the side. Hi Zanette. Hi Pamela. Hi Jill. Hi Maria. Hi Patty. Hi Judy. Hi Artie. Okay, looks like a lot of the regulars are here. And are you guys excited to do another painting today? I'm going to keep it loose and try and keep it easy and fun and colorful. Just to kind of take a little bit of a break from Thursday's video, which was dominantly green and blue, which was also very nice, but you know, I kind of gravitate to my colorful stuff. Before I move on to the painting though, I do want to say Saturday I put out a video on Procreate. So those of you who are dabbling in Procreate, it was a quick video on how to kind of very simplistically create a flower that you can kind of duplicate. The whole process was pretty much duplication to get a flower. So yes. So those are the 2 videos. So hope you guys had a chance to check them out. If not, they're on the channel. Check them out whenever. All right, guys. So without further ado, it's 2:09. I am going to switch the camera over so you guys can see my table and we can begin. Let me just do this to right here, and there we go. So you guys can now see my table. Perfect. So as I mentioned, or for those of you who've been with me for a while, I've mentioned a few times, Sundays I use my ETCHR sketchbook. So I'm using my ETCHR paper today from the sketchbook, and I have my palette by Lisi Arts. For brushes, I am using Princeton number 8, Silver Black Velvet number 4. We are going to be using the Filbert number 6, and then finally the Vinci number 1 mop. All right, and for colors, we are going to be using the following. Again, I'm keeping all these items out. I might end up using all of them. I might end up not using some of them, but just to sort of keep it handy so we're not flustering around. Flustering, is that a word? Just bumbling around last minute trying to find things. Okay, so cadmium lemon, carmine, obviously. I mean, why even question that? Titan red, green, yellow ochre, because I was thinking to mix the yellow ochre with either the, well, we'll figure it out. And then umber. This is umber, yes? Or raw umber, sorry. Where's the raw umber? No, I think it's just umber, sorry. So many different kinds of colors here. And this is St. Petersburg, FYI. For what else? I think that's it. I've got my little bowl of water here, and I think we are ready to begin. What I'm going to do is just make sure that my screen is properly viewable to you guys. I am doing it in a vertical format today. Again, I seem to be doing a lot of verticals. So we're going to continue in a vertical format. Just going to move this up ever so slightly so you can see. Yeah, I think this is good. Maybe slightly slanted so you can see everything in case I go to the very bottom. You're not missing anything. All right. Oh, I'm also keeping my spray handy because I'm thinking I might use it. I'm not quite sure yet. We'll see. And then, yes, we are ready to begin. All right, fabulous. So I'm just going to do some switching around. Get my paint palette over here on this end. Just trying to adjust things so that you guys can see clearly before we begin. And then I have my paper towel handy as well. Move all the colors here so it's easier to maneuver. Perfect. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to mix some color. And for mixing up the color, I'm going to use my number 8 Princeton. And we're going to start off by mixing some of the carmine. And what I like to do is like maybe even mix some of the oranges that we have. Oh, you know what I forgot to add? Sorry guys, I also meant to put in the, so we have the cadmium, we don't have the cadmium red light, right? This is what I wanted to put in as well. And I'm gonna mix some of the yellow with the cadmium, so let's just see how that turns out. All right, so back to mixing the carmine. So I want the consistency for the carmine to be 30-70. So it's going to be a lighter version of the color and just water it down nicely. I just want to make sure. I saw a little bit of a weird thing happening on the screen here. So you guys are able to still see me, right? Just making sure. Okay, so that's enough mixing. I'm going to put some of the, dab it off. And then I'm going to get some of the cadmium red light. And mix that on the side here. And again, same kind of consistency as the carmine. I just want to get some colors mixed up over here. And then we're going to get some of the yellow. And I'm just going to mix a little bit to the side here and just see what kind of orange we get, which is quite nice. It's like a nice peach color, so I like that. I think these will all complement each other quite well. And let's just get a little bit of greens happening here too. I'm going to start off with the umber. I'm just mixing that off to this side. And then I'm going to get some of the green on here as well. So again, I have like 2 little variations of light colors happening. And then let me get some of the Titan red as well. And I'm mixing that at the top. Right, perfect. So now we're ready to start. So like I mentioned in the beginning of this video that we are doing something very loose and light and fun today. We're going to keep it summery looking. All right, so putting this palette down to the side. Just going to push this ever so slightly so you can see more of this in the center. All right, so first thing we're gonna do is using the mop brush to get our first layer of light muted color down. Washing off the mop brush, dampening it up nicely. I'm gonna go in and get some of my carmine. And before I put the color down, what I will do, I have decided I am going to do a spray. Just, you can see some fine hairs on my sheet, so I'm just taking that off. And I'm just gonna spray ever so lightly that way. And now, dabbing off so that there's no pooling of water. And we just have a nice dampness. And now once that's done, I'm going to get some of that carmine, and we're going to start creating almost like how I do the peonies. So pressing down your brush, and we're going to create like these little petals around. And this is going to be the background petals first. So I'm leaving a little bit of space to create the second looking petal here. But notice I'm not having it tapered at the bottom because we're going to do some foreground petals on this side. So I've done 3. I'm going to go back in, get some more of this carmine color, dipping the tip of my brush in the carmine itself to get a darker color. I'm now going to do the front petals. So again, notice the white space I'm leaving in between. That is integral, otherwise you're going to get like one big blotch of color. And then I'm doing this side petal on this side over here. Again, notice the white space I'm leaving between the two. All right, so now that I've done this, I'm making sure I'm pushing all the color down to the bottom. And then let's just take our number 4, and I'm going to take some of the some of the peachy color that we mixed, and I'm just going to mix in some at the bottom. So we have a difference in color happening. And then I'm just going to swoosh some in on the outer petals as well. And I'm just going to allow that to sort of dry and do its thing. Alright, so now that we've accomplished this, I'm going to take the same number 4, and I want to get a little bit of darker hues of the carmine. So I'm just going to get some of the carmine directly on here, and I'm going to just press down my brush and add a couple of strokes for that first outer petal, then the inner petal just a little bit more, and then finally the outward petal here. And now we're going to tackle the background petals right there. So I'm just going to add dabs of color, and I'm just going to allow the watercolor to kind of do its thing. I'm going to add some at the tip or at the top of the petals that we've laid down. Now if you find that it's drying up and it's not spreading as much, just take some water and kind of just dab it around so it forms that outer cusp or layer, no, outline almost for the petals. So you're giving it a little bit more definition. Getting a little bit more of that pink, just adding a tad bit more on this side, and then I'm just going to leave it. Pushing all this color down. Notice I'm doing these tiny little outer, what would you call it, strokes. So very tiny, lots of white space, making it seem like it's fuller and there's like more petals happening. All right, and now that I've done that, I'm going to leave it as that. Now we're going to go in, get some of the yellow ochre. This is going to be our main floral. So the rest of the florals are going to be on a smaller scale, much looser than this. And I'm just going to add dabs of like darker yellow ochre, so less water, more color. And I'm just adding it in that white space, but also leaving white space so it looks like it's part of the center. And again, giving you a soft effect. If some of it bleeds into the pink or that orange color that we have, it's totally fine. Let it do its thing. All right, so we've got that down. Now the next thing I want to do is I'm going to go get some of the orange that we have now mixed on here. So I'm going to use, switching back to the number 8, making sure my brushes don't fall off. I'm going to get some of the, I believe this was the cadmium red light. So mixing some of that up here. I'm going to take some of this and we're going to create something that looks, I'm going to show you how we're creating that. So I'm going to paint that at the top here and I'm just pressing it down. Watch me before you do it. And I'm trying to kind of going up and down on with my brush to kind of get a jaggedy feel. Dipping the tip in water to get like a looser color. And then just closing it up this way. So this is our very, very loose floral that we've created. And this is how we're going to add bits and bobs of color. Now dipping the tip of my brush in the color palette itself, I'm just going to go to the center and add these little strokes right there so that it kind of flares out and you get a nice dark to light effect. I'm going to add some of that to the edges as well of the flower so that when it dries up you get a nice blend of color almost. And just kind of adding a couple of light strokes here or there to kind of give it a little more shape, so to speak. And then I'm going to leave it at that. So we've done one there. Let's do another one, similar nature. Let's make that one over here at the bottom. Oh, I just noticed that it was slightly at the top. I'm gonna move it more this way so you guys can see this better. Okay, awesome. I'm gonna add one here, exactly the same technique. Dipping the tip of my brush in water, getting some more color. I'm just adding and pushing all the color down to the center. I'm going to get some of that peach color that I have happening on my palette as well, and I'm just going to add that, or a couple of strokes, brush strokes of that onto these petals. Alright, that's perfect. I'm going to get some of the cadmium red just on the tip, and then just like we did at the first one, I'm just going to add it at the bottom. And then a little bit at the top, just like we did on that first one up there. Giving us a variation of color and a little bit of definition without really doing too much. Perfect. And now before I retire this color entirely, I think what I want to do is just add a very, very light version of it somewhere off to the side, maybe as like buds or something like that. So I'm just probably going to do one over here, very loose, leaving white space in between, pushing all the color down, and then just do another one here and like maybe a dot there. And that's it. That's it for the cadmium. We'll just go back in and get some of that yellow, mix it in, get some of that peachy color, and just add it in there because I like how the peach looks with this. It's kind of like a pretty combination, I think. I'm gonna add some of that there. There we go. Leave it at that. Perfect. So now we've got our smaller florals. Let's just do a little bit more. This time let's use the Filbert. I'm going to use my Filbert number 6, and I am going to get the Titan Red. And I have some of that mixed up already on the side here. So I'm just going to mix some of that up here. And I'm thinking I should just put it on this side here so it's easier for you to kind of see me mix that. And now for these florals, what we're going to do is very similar to these orangey ones that we did, but we're going to try and use the shape of the Filbert to kind of give it a slightly different look. So these will be a little smaller than what we've done on this end here. So I'm going to put one over here on this side, and I'm pressing down to get this like rounded shape. So back and forth, pressing the full width of your brush, trying to get this like loosey looking petals, pushing all the color downward. There we go, we've got one. Now I'm going to get some color directly from here, and I'm just going to add it to the center. And again, I'm trying to give it a little more definition by spreading some different tones of this color that we have. There we go. I'm going to dip the tip of my brush in water, getting a little bit more. Let's create a couple more of these just so it's unified and it ties in nicely. Let's do one happening over on this end. Got some here. No, let's do it on this corner over here. And again, pressing downward, going up and down to kind of create one petal. Then leaving a little bit of white space, I'm going to create the next one. Just going to get a tip of a darker hue on the tip of my brush. Same color, just dab at the center first. Just add a little bit at the top. And now I'm going to create another petal right there. Perfect. Let's see what else. At this stage, I'm going to mix in some of the yellow because I want like a more yellowy orange. So let's mix some of that yellow in with the Titan Red. Let's get a peachy hue. And then these will be the last little bits of the orange family peachy florals. And let's kind of make it in the same manner as we have these ones. But I want to add a little bit of a spray. The spray was too much and it's pulled up. That's okay, so I'll start over here first. And again, same thing, I'm just kind of dragging my brush up and down, and I'm just creating these very simplistic shapes to kind of form a flower. And adding like darker hues at the edges so that it blends in. Mixing a little bit more color of the cadmium lemon and the Titan Red. And we're going to do one over here on this end. And leave the white space, guys. It really, really helps with differentiating and just creating visual interest. So make sure you are doing that. And I'm pushing all the color to the bottom on that one. And then let's just do one more just at the edge over here. And I want it to look like it's almost like an afterthought at the bottom. I'm getting a little bit more color and adding it to the center of this floral. I'm going to add some here too. Once this dries a little bit more, I would like to give this a little more definition because right now it's nice and soft. Same thing with this one at the top there. And yeah, and I think these are good. So we've got these down packed. Let's do like how we did the little buds at the top here. I'm just going to do some over here using the Filbert itself. And I'll have it going like a spray downward. So all I'm doing is I'm just going to do little movements like this. And as I go lower, I want it to be smaller. So my strokes are getting lesser, is that a word? Compared to the other ones? Yeah, let's do that. Let's call it lesser. But you're literally just making little shapes, like that's it. That's all you're doing. I'll do some over here too, since we've got some color there. Just at the top a little bit. Perfect. Leaving it as is. And now we can kind of, let's add in some greenery. So we can get some green happening to balance, and then we'll decide if we need any more florals and how we're going to be doing that. So for greenery, I like to use something a little bit smaller. So we're going to use the number 4. And I've got some colors mixed up here already. We'll also use some of the Filbert, like the Filbert brush, because I think it gives you some nice results. So I'm going to get some of the umber mixed in with the green, and we'll start off on like this 70-30 ratio of color and water. And let's just start off by creating some green happening over on this end at the bottom. So I'm just going to create like the bottom of this flower, just adding very loose strokes, almost like a spray of leaves. Just using the tip on the flick of a wrist, and then adding darker hue of the green at the bottom of our leaf. I'm going to get some darker hue here from the cake itself. And let's just add a very loose looking leaf here. And attach it. And then I'm just using just one stroke and then like just a linear line to kind of indicate that leaf is closed. There we go. And we can even add another one here very loosely and leave that one as is. So these are our loose looking light leafy strokes that we're doing here. And we're going to do a darker hue just as soon as we've done our first layer of color, like greenery I mean. And then that'll give us a nice contrast and make things pop. But for now we need to go from light, well, we need to start light first and then we'll kind of expand. Yeah, so then let's do some over here on this end too, on a smaller scale. And again, notice I'm like just very lightly, the flick of a wrist, doing a couple of strokes, trying to leave some white space in between the leaves. I am doing 2 strokes to do these leaves, but I'm also trying to leave some white space in between. So keep that in mind and just continue practicing at that. Just like that, how I have that white space. Alright, so let's connect these. At the top. I'm mixing a little bit more of that umber and green. And we're going to do some very light, not light, but light in stroke only, not color, because clearly it's a lot darker. And I'm just being very loose with my little jaggedy strokes happening. So I wanted these to look almost like a wildflower kind of leaves, which are very delicate looking and almost looks like little fibers almost coming out from the leaves. You can give it a little bit of shape and give the strokes, like add a little bit extra strokes to kind of give it that detail without giving it detail. So I'm going to leave that as is. Now we kind of continue and do these kind that we were doing. mixing a little bit more color so I can get some more variation. So this time getting more of that umber in the green. And let's do a couple of strokes over here. Again, notice how I'm kind of just very lightly going and just trying to create these segments, or I guess arcs, which will be the stems holding our leaves, and then kind of creating the leaves on top. And as soon as I do the first stroke, I'm dipping the tip of my brush in water to get the second stroke to be a lot lighter. And as I'm adding the second stroke, I'm intentionally leaving white space in between. Just trying to leave a whole bunch of white space to allow that light to show in your work. And adding some darker hues at the bottom of the leaves so that it gives you a nice dark to light. Just add something nice to your painting as a whole. And then just some really light strokes like that to kind of end it in tiny detail. Let's add the adjoining stems for the bottom here. So for this, I will try and be light with my strokes, but because of the angle for the camera, I'm a little bit awkward about it. So just like that. I'm just going to do a leaf here, so it's almost like this leaf is covering where these are joining. Adding the darker hue again from where the leaf starts, from under the flower. Give it that nice shadowy effect. I'll have it adjoining here. Just add another stroke here to kind of indicate maybe another leaf, like more detail there. Adding some more color now. Again, when I say adding some more color, I'm mixing more color. Because we're still in the greens, I'm still just mixing the umber and the green, not adding anything new. So I'm doing another stroke on this end and just adding very loose strokes, dipping the tip of my brush in water, trying to keep this light, but at the same time, I can see that it's definitely darker than what we had there, and that's okay. Sometimes your paintings evolve unintentionally, and you just have to go with the flow. And that's totally fine too. So I just want, every time I see something like this, it needs to end with like 1/3 one in between. That's just me. I don't know about you guys, but that's what I'm trying to do there. And let's see. Okay, so we've got these light leaves happening all over the place. I think it would be nice to have just a couple of them over here on this side before we can progress and like perfect some of these flowers that we have going on. So let's do that. So we've got one stroke kind of this way. So let's do one this way. Perfect. Get some of that green. See, notice how light I am going on this. Now I'm going to get some of that peachy color and just add it into the green. Why not? And I'm just adding very tiny strokes on the outside just to kind of make it seem like it's fading off. Perfect. Okay, so we've got leaves there, we've got some here. Okay. I just want to do a couple more. I'm just having a bird's eye view of it because I don't want to stand up because you guys can see me. Let's do some over here. On a small scale, I kind of made it a lot bigger than I intended to, but that's okay. Just like that, just very loosely, just like some green strokes to kind of, you know, coverage, add some coverage to the bright florals that we have going on. Okay, so I think that's enough light greenery for now. And now let's go in and add some of the detail to the flowers, like I mentioned previously. So like these will need some centers so that they pop, so will this. And I think that should be good enough because I don't want to overdo the details for these florals. So let's use the Filbert brush, and I'm going to use a little bit of green mixed in with the yellow, the cadmium lemon, to get like a light green. And we can use it for these orangey looking blooms. Get some of that yellow, cadmium lemon that is, and just mix it in. Gives us like this really bright young green, like a fluorescent almost. And now let's add a couple of linear lines all around. And I'm just using the side of this brush to kind of put that in. Now it's like a bright green, but I want some more lemon in it. So I'm just gonna get a bit more of that lemon because I want it to be more like a yellowy green than a green yellow. So, and then just adding a couple of like dots at the edges. Again, you're adding visual interest by adding these colors in that kind of create the big picture once you look at it in the end. Again, I'm doing just the side of my Filbert to add these tiny linear strokes. So it's a lot easier using the Filbert to create the centers because it gives you these nice little strokes, and they're very organic looking compared to if you used this brush, although I do use this one majority of the time. But I'm just making this observation now as I'm using this pretty much like the first time on a video with you guys. Adding the center again for this floral here, and I believe there's one just off in the background there, faded, so I'm just adding a little bit of green there. I'm gonna leave that as is. And let's see, I want to add a little bit more detail to these. So by detail I mean I've washed off the brush, so I'm going to get some color directly from my Titan Red, and I'm just going to add, that's too dry. I'm going to add a couple of strokes within these petals now that it's dried up. Just like that. Then let's add a couple of these strokes even on this one here. You don't have to go all around it if you don't want to. Like, I think for this one I could just maybe add some here, here, and just on the side here, just to kind of give it a little bit of a pop certain areas. This one probably just on this, just like that. Perfect. And I think these can be left as is. What we're gonna add for the centers for these, I'm gonna use the number 4 just to show you the difference when you're doing the centers. We're gonna do similar centers to what we did for these little orangey ones, but we are going to use a combination of green and the carmine to get like a nice dark center, so they can almost look like poppies if anything. So got some of that green, gonna get some of the carmine. Get a dark hue of color, because I don't want to use black directly, so I'm gonna get some of that green and the carmine, and we've got like this muddy looking green, which is going to be dark enough for the centers. Oh, you guys have lost visuals. Wow, this is weird. Hold on one second. Let me just see what is happening. That is so weird. Oh, I know. I think I may have battery issues. There we go. Sorry guys, battery died. Let me reconnect. You should see it now. There we go. There we go. Are you guys able to see it? We're back on. That was so weird. I could have sworn my battery was at max and then it died. So sorry. I hope you guys didn't miss too much. Okay, we're back. Okay, I'm just gonna continue. So I mixed some of the green with the carmine to get like this darker hue, and we're gonna go ahead and do the centers of these reddish florals, and I'm just adding these little dabs in a linear fashion and just adding some spots on the outer bit of it, kind of getting into the red just a tiny bit. But I don't want to overpower it too much, so I'm going to leave it just looking like that. And then same thing over here on this one, just dabbing, dabbing, dabbing all around. And alternating on this one with linear lines and just dots. And then just on the outer area, I'm just adding a couple of dots. And I like that looseness that it adds to the whole flower. And now, just because I'm seeing, I really like how it makes it pop, I'm going to add a little bit of this to the, just adding it to the detail of what we've added on the little orange with the green. So I'm going to add some of that in between the green. You guys are still seeing me, right? Yes, okay, good. Just checking now, because now I'm a little bit like, what? How did I miss that? There we go. Love it. I love how the green looks with the light green. I think it takes it to like the next dimension. Adding some here at the bottom as well. Again, not all over, just like in between some of the greens, so you can still see the light green. And it just adds, like I mentioned, some nice detail. All right, perfect. Zanette, I see you say lost again. Oh, that's weird. How are you guys? Nope, it's a fully charged battery, so that's weird. Okay. All right, guys, don't worry. We're almost done. So this is a weird day. Okay. All right, so I've got these nice highlighted images for these florals over here, or paintings of the florals over here. What I want to do is add a little bit more detail to our big little floral here. So what I'm going to do is take the Filbert again, because it gives us some nice cute shapes. And I'm going to get some of the Carmine and mix that over here. And we're going to do this layering effect. So mixing some of the Carmine onto the side. I'm going to take the Filbert and we're going to kind of highlight where these petals are. So I'm giving it one stroke, so pressing down. I'm going to give it another one here. And notice how I'm kind of letting it trail off. And then I'm using the side to kind of do a very thinner line on the side. And again, it's giving you these impressions of, I guess, the linear detail or the folds in the petals. And I'll do one more over here on this side, just using the side of my brush, and full-fledged. Very, very loose. This might, if you don't have a lot of experience using the Filbert, you might need to practice this a bit, but it is so much fun. I think it adds such pretty detail when you use the Filbert, especially for your florals like this, that you can just see. We have this faded pink background, but then we're going in with the Filbert, adding these little strokes, and it just, voila, like makes the flower pop out even more. Now I don't want to add too much in the background petals, but I'll just try and get a little bit of detail here and there. So I'm just going to do the strokes just so we have a little bit of this pattern. The linear pattern, that is. Perfect. And that's it. I'm not going to add anything more to this. I think this is perfect as is. What we're going to do is now end off with doing the darker greenery that I promised you guys. So let's mix some of the, so I'm using my number 4 for that. As per normal, I'm going to use some of the green and mix it in with the color that I already have on here on the side. So mixing some of that. And now we're going to go ahead and create some very light looking leaves, little leaves that are darker in color. So it's just like highlights amongst these loose leaves that we have going on. So just kind of watch me and then you'll kind of get the hang of it, and then feel free to place them where you feel you need them to go. So I'm going to do some over here on this end, and it's fine if they're overlapping a little bit. So I'm just kind of adding a stem and then adding extensions to it and just adding small leaves. And again, I'm doing the same 2-stroke thing with the leaves, leaving some white space in between. I'm going to add some over here as well. I'm going to have it overlapping the big floral that we have. So just lightly here and there, adding this nice pop of dark green to enhance our painting. So I've got one here. Let's add some happening over on this end. Here, can you see me? Yes, okay. Adding some here. Making sure I'm reading comments just in case anything else happens. Adding some in the corner in between these over here, very lightly. And you can even make some of them look like berries. Like, but with green, if that makes any sense. So let's do one over here just to see what that would look like. So let's do like a berry kind of happening thing here. And again, I'm being very loose about it, very jaggedy in my lay of color. So they're not perfect circles, they're just like mishmash, and then I'm trying to connect them very roughly. But again, my whole point of this is not so much the perfection in the shapes, but it's more about the color and how it looks as an end result piece and how well it blends. So you see that detail that you kind of add, and it's like a fashion thing. You know how stripes and polka dots never go out of style? Here we go with the thin leaves, stripes, with the little berries, polka dots. That's how I like to think about it. So, if that helps anyone who's kind of make sense out of how to compose florals or loose florals. So we can do something very similar that we did over here, just at the top between these florals. And again, I'm just like adding one stem and then kind of going in and adding a couple of dots to kind of represent this so-called rough berries that we have happening. And then just kind of burying it all the way down, pun intended, burying it all the way down between the flowers. So again, like, look how it adds this nice sense of detail without adding too much detail to it. So I'm going to add some over here in this corner too, because I think it'll be a nice addition there. And I think once we've done that, we can kind of survey the whole thing and then decide if we need to add anything more. So again, very sporadically, randomly adding these dots. And then I'm just going to add some to make it look like it's coming from under the floral over here, and just trailing it off with the dots there. Just adding some to kind of make it look like it's overlapping on this leaf as well. I'm just fading off, perfect. And I'm just kind of surveying to see what else could be done. Okay, one last thing I want to do before we close off. I'm going to add just a little bit more of these darker greens. Let's do it over on this end here. But I think it should be upward like that. Just loosely like that. Perfect. And just this one seems to be a little bit open-ended, so I'm just going to add a couple of those darker looking leaves over here. Make it look like it's framing the flower a little bit. And I think that is good enough. Just adding some green there. Okay, perfect. I think that's it. We don't need to do anything more in terms of adding leaves. But what I will do is, and I've learned this from one of the other artists that I follow on Instagram who does bouquets of florals. Weekend in Love, I think her handle is. It's Ada, I think you pronounce her name. I'm not quite sure, but she recommended adding a little bit of green in between the florals so that it looks like there's green in the background. And I really feel like it really adds and unifies the whole painting. So we're just going to add a little bit of like watering down some of the green, and I'm just going to add some greenery or some green strokes in between some of these flowers. And again, I'm not like filling every nook and cranny, but I'm just kind of adding it loosely around the edges and such. And I'm making sure not to kind of overlap on the flowers that we already have. So I'm going to add some here because there's some flowers happening there. Just going to add some over here on this end too. And then finally in this area over here, and we are done. Okay, that's it. Oh, sorry, I did mention that we were going to add more darker ochre to the center and of this main flower, so I'm just going to finish off with that. And I can see that because this is ochre over ochre, you don't really see it as much. You do see the definition of the linear lines, but you don't see it as well. So I'm just going to add, I'm going to bring in some of the umber on the brush and add in these linear lines in the same fashion. And mixed in with the ochre, it gives you like a nice contrast. And there we go. Just adding a couple of dabs of dots in this umber. There we go. Perfect. And we are done. So this is the final outcome, guys. Feel free to add a splatter. Feel free to add extra tiny florals if you wish to. But I'm just going to end it at this because I think this is good enough. So I hope you guys are inspired and take it away with what we've done so far. I'm just gonna flip to the comments, see what you guys are saying. If anyone has any questions or anything, feel free to ask me now. Let me see who is saying what. I'm gonna leave this on the screen and just have my face this way so you guys can kind of see what is happening. You're welcome, Judy. Thanks, Dahlia. Thanks, Cindy. Okay. I don't think anyone has any questions, so that's okay. Can't wait to see your work, guys. Please feel free to follow me on Instagram and tag me in your work. My handle is Hello Clarice G. Yeah, I want to see your work, guys. Like, and if you're not going to post it on Instagram, feel free to just direct message it to me, Instagram or Facebook. Thanks, Pamela. Glad you like it. Thanks, Michelle. Yeah, I'm kind of quite pleased with how it turned out as well. You can see how you can just like overlap some of the greens and the colors, and you can get some interesting detail. So, yeah, I think that's it. All right, guys. So if you're new to my channel here, please do feel free to hit the like button and hit the subscribe button if you like floral paintings of this nature or watercolor paintings of this nature, the floral kind. And that's it. Look out for the new video that's coming out on Thursday. It is going to be themed very similar to what this past Thursday was, what I released this past Thursday. Wow, completely couldn't phrase that sentence in there. So yes, it's going to be leafy, so stay tuned for that. All right, so I think, can you say about some brushes? Amor is asking. Amor, if you're looking for any of the brushes that I have used here, I'm actually going to add them. Well, they're all, first of all, they're all listed in the description below. So all the items I'm using are in the description below. So feel free to check that out. And I will be listing these as well. So this is the Princeton number 8. This is the Filbert Princeton Velvettouch number 6. This is the Vinci mop brush number 1, and then this is silver black velvet number 4. So again, I'll mention it very detailed in the description below, but that's what it is for now. All right, thanks guys, and I'm gonna shut off now, and you go out there and have a beautiful, lovely day, and we'll chat again next, no, not next Sunday. So next Sunday we are not having a live because it's Father's Day, and I don't know if you got the email, but I was saying I want to focus on making sure hubby gets a good Father's Day, and then I want to go see my dad as well. So next Sunday we will be taking a break. So I'll miss you guys, but stay tuned for the Sunday after that. So we'll be back. All right, guys? All right, bye.